Hi, this is the Village Telegram on LoudMouth. Today we'll be looking at the skepticism with respect to people going for the COVID-19 vaccination, which of course has started in Nigeria. And I would like to state here that the skepticism that we faced in Nigeria is not a Nigerian thing. It's not something that is only in Nigeria. It's something that has played out not only across Africa, but all over the world. I mean, if you interact with people, you'd realize that whether it is in the US, whether it is in the UK, whether it is in Asia, there are those, and a good proportion of the population who are skeptical, who do not trust the vaccine. And I think the reason as follows. First, you look at leadership. I mean, if you look at it from a Nigerian perspective, we know that there's been a lack of leadership when it comes to dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. I mean, you look at it where the president of a nation has only spoken to Nigerians directly with respect to this COVID-19 pandemic, maybe twice or thrice. He has kind of outsourced his leadership and in leading the people with respect to dealing with COVID-19. And of course, there's also the challenge of disinformation. There's been a massive failure with government in policing the kind of information that is put out there. And government is doing little in actually making sure that they are now fighting back with good information. So there's a problem with having a well coordinated information, having a well coordinated education of the citizens. So this is also an angle that I feel has also caused this skepticism. Then of course there's a general lack of transparency with respect to those who are managing this COVID-19 pandemic, because when we look at it from the inception, there has not been the kind of accountability that one would expect of leaders or one would expect of public servants. And of course, there's also a lack of faith with respect to our politicians. When you look at the past 9 months, specifically with Nigeria, you've seen politicians ask you to self-isolate, ask us to maintain social distancing, ask us to stay at home, especially during the lockdown. You'll be amazed at how much our politicians were traveling up and down, holding political meetings rather than actually doing the art of governance. So that in itself does not inspire faith from the citizens in terms of following leaders. Then of course, there's also that very, very dark spot within the Nigerian citizen, which is we have not been responsible citizens. The lack of responsibility as individuals in being responsible for ourselves, in being responsible for the kind of information we're taking, in being responsible with the kind of information we push out. That in itself has created an environment of fear. And I think that in itself is also not something that we should overlook. I feel that it is disgraceful that we as a nation, we do not have the capacity to take care of ourselves. Because, I mean, if you cannot take care of yourself and you have to rely on the charity of other nations to fend for yourself, then you cannot expect your citizens to take ownership of the vaccine. There was no point in time that the Nigerian government took ownership. And this is not just a Nigerian thing, it's all over Africa. Where are these vaccines coming from? There is no African pharmaceutical company. There was no coordinated effort by African leaders to come together and say, let us create a task team within the pharmaceutical sector on the African continent to look for a vaccine. And if you cannot do that, how do you now expect your citizens to take ownership and to trust that which is coming from outside? And I also feel that one of the reasons that there has also been skepticism is also that it is difficult for citizens to take issue of COVID and the vaccination, and that it is also that our leaders have not taken the initiative to go out there to show to the people that, look, there's nothing to be afraid of. There is nothing to be scared of. You can take this thing. I have vaccinated. My citizens has vaccinated. So the leadership needs to go on a charm offensive in making sure that everyone, every citizen is informed, they are encouraged, their fears are dealt with, the issues that are affecting, that could cause this disillusionment are dealt with. But beyond COVID, I feel that we need to, in closing, we need to, as a matter of urgency, have a national disaster plan. One of the things I found disheartening was that when this pandemic broke out, Nigeria did not have a national disaster plan. Kudos to South Africa. I was impressed. They had the National Disaster Act. They had a national disaster plan. You could see perfect. I mean, South Africa is actually the star of the African continent when it comes to tackling this COVID-19 pandemic. They might not have done a perfect job, but I cannot fault South Africa in the way and the manner in which it has dealt with it. And guess what? Even when the vaccine came into South Africa, they vaccinated the leaders, they vaccinated the health workers. So the frontline workers are being given this vaccine. And that is something that needs to be dealt with. In rounding up, I also feel that it is time for us as a nation, as a continent, to now start building up. I'm talking about from the local government to the state or provincial government to the national government. We need to build up our health sector. We need to revamp our health sector. We need to make health issues a human right. We need to make the health issues of the continent, hygiene, health. Government must pump in money into this sector of the economy, because it if not for God, and I say it again, if not for God, if Africa had COVID-19 the way Europe and America had it, it would have been a different tale. Thank you for your time. Do have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you for listening. You've been on to LoudMouth, a social and political platform. We break down the news headlines to educate and ensure full understanding of daily events. Don't forget to share and subscribe. And finally, make comments. We would like to know your opinions.